Hey, Internets. It's Paul, it's Matt, the Dork Lords. We are here talking about Counterpart, Season 2, Episode 1, Inside Out. Welcome back to Counterpart. It's been a while.
Yes, how we've missed it.
Season 1, very excitedly. It is a very, very cool show. Season 2 gives you a little bit of clues as to remind you what's going on, but not a lot. I think it kind of assumes you watched Season 1. So if you're new to the show, here we go. I'm going to describe exactly what happens in Season 1. I'm going to give you as generalized a Season 1 backstory as I can here. Okay, here we go.
Last time on Counterpart.
Okay, generally speaking, Season 1, we meet a mild-mannered guy works behind it. He got a desk job, and his name is Howard Silk, played by J.K. Simmons. He's in Germany.
Yes.
He's
American in Germany.
He's American in Germany. Good point. Does speak German. Shortly after the beginning of the show, he is introduced to his doppelganger, essentially his duplicate. Another J.K. Simmons, another Howard Silk, played by J.K. Simmons, from another world. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say they really had to work on casting to get two J.K. Simmons.
They had to find two J.K. Simmons. Yeah. His cousin J.B. Simmons. Okay. Anyway, all right. So J.K. playing two parts, and he this other Howard is from almost a duplicate world. It's another world that's very, 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 very similar to ours. Diverged a bit. So the point where these two worlds meet is a place called The Crossing, which is right there in Germany. It's in the building, basically under the building where Howard works. We learn that the two worlds this crossing was discovered, I think, in the 40s or 50s, somewhere back in the 40s is what you mentioned.
I was rewatching it, and somebody objected to the term discovered because it was created, basically.
Okay, created. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So, all right, it was created a while back. And the two worlds kind of like coexisted for a while until 1996, I believe, is the year that they pinned it down to. There was this huge flu epidemic on the other side. So we'll call our side the Alpha, the other side the Prime.
We will call it that.
We didn't originally. And anyway, that's what the showrunners are doing. That's what we're doing.
Yes.
Our side is Alpha. This is the side where Prince is dead.
Yes, the Prince dead.
The other side, the Prime side, Prince still alive, making albums.
Yeah,
Pretty
so
sweet.
somehow he got vaccinated with a special flu vaccine.
Right.
Didn't die.
He's still doing his thing. Hopefully there'll be an episode in Season 2 where we go to a Prince concert.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be awesome. Okay. All right, anyway. All right, so Prime World, major flu epidemic happened, killed off a huge percentage of the population, the world's population. And they blamed the Alpha side, thinking it was kind of like a, germ warfare, essentially. We don't know whether that's true or not, based on the kind of the dark edge of this show, spy versus spy nature of this show. I would say it's likely that the Alpha side deliberately germ warfared the other side, but we don't know that for a fact. Could have been an accident.
Oops.
We don't know, but they're being blamed for it.
Yes.
And so after that, then the two worlds started radically getting different.
Yes.
Because obviously one side had the snap, right?
Yes.
One side, and they're blaming us. They're calling us Thanos.
Yep.
And so they're trying to deal with the snap, and there's a lot of differences now.
Yep.
Okay, so one of the differences was the Prime World set up a school for people. They called them the Shadows.
Yes.
And they were basically trying to become exact duplicates of their selves in the Alpha world, to the point of like, oh, this 9-year-old girl broke her arm. Well, we got to break your arm. So that what the idea being that at some point they would switch them out secretly, and they would have spies on the other side. One of those people is Claire, who we meet. It seemed like she wasn't that important a person early, but then, she became incredibly important.
Very important.
So she's still very important. We see her in episode 1 a lot. So she is part of a very specific plan. It's a terrorist plot, which takes place at the end of season 1. And that plot is basically shooting up I think it's called OI, the Office of Investigations, the building that houses the crossing. And they do that and kill a whole bunch of people. One of the spies gets shot. He's dying. He crawls back onto the crossing, and he ends up dying halfway across.
Yes.
Right? And no one claims him because both sides are like, oh, it's weird if we okay, fine. And nobody claims this guy. He dies in the crossing. I think he is dragged away.
Yes, then at that then
they're like fine.
Pull him away.
And at the end of season 1, both sides have now closed their doors, sealed them off so that there's no passage back and forth between worlds. Until then, there were couriers all the time going back and forth and such.
Didn't we discuss? Earlier before we recorded, we thought we were talking about different places of access points, but if there exist different access points, then it's not so big a deal.
Correct. If there are, yeah, we don't know. I mean, all we're told is this is the one access point between these worlds. I was just thinking perhaps there's maybe another secret route, or if one route got created, who's to say 2 couldn't have been created? But all we know about is this one route, and they are keeping it secret, even to their general public. I mean, not many people know about this thing.
Right.
When the doors get closed, the 2 Howards, Prime Howard, Alpha Howard, got trapped on opposite sides of, in the worlds that are not their own.
Yes.
And so they're going to have to kind of deal with that.
Yes, and you didn't really mention Howard's wife, who was in a coma at the start of it.
Emily.
And we met the Prime Emily. But at the end of the series, season, Alpha Emily wakes up.
Right, so she was in a coma the whole time until the last couple of seconds of the first season, and she awakes and she. So now, obviously, if you've been watching episode 1 of season 2, we see her now conscious and trying to get her memory back.
Yes.
And there's plenty of other stuff we can talk about, but generally speaking, that's where we are. So it's a spy versus spy thing with this cool sci-fi twist. All right, so season 2, episode 1. We pick up, we are introduced immediately to a new character. And this is a former FBI agent.
Yes.
So she's American.
Yes.
Apparently. And she is being brought in to hunt for spies. Yes. She's apparently very good at that, was good at that in her former job.
Yes.
And so that we see her being tested at first to see if she's right for this job. She's apparently right for the job because she gets the gig.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Yeah. I should mention this. You had turned me on to an interesting article where the showrunner was interviewed about season 2, and there were 3 things that I thought were very interesting about what the showrunner says about season 2. 1, whereas season 1 was mainly about Howard.
Yes.
J.K. Simmons. Season 2 is theoretically primarily going to be more about Emily. So she just woke up from the coma.
Yeah.
We have theories about her. 2, whereas the first season was more like a Berlin, East and West Berlin, divided by the wall. Season 2 is more of a Red Scare, the communism Red Scare thing. Oh my God, the guy next to me could be the enemy.
House Un-American Activities.
That. I have a list. And then 3, just the fact that what it's called is close to my heart because it references Highlander, the best movie of all time. No, okay. It's what the showrunner called the Highlander Notion. In other words, there can be only one. Meaning that this season is about competition, war. These 2 sides are not going to coexist. They're going to try to absorb each other.
Well, that's what they might believe. Whether or not they need to do it is another matter.
Whether they need to, or they probably don't need to, but they believe that.
Right.
Yes.
Or at least elements do, which is why they're starting a war.
And we see that right away in the kind of a microcosm when our FBI agent, Agent Temple,
Yes.
she is being seeing archive footage. She's being introduced to this. She didn't know about this.
Nope.
So again, it's a reminder that the world doesn't know. Oh,
I like at one point she says like read, like if she's read in, which is a spy term. So like okay, you're gonna be read into this particular situation or whatever. So she's read in.
Gotcha. And so one of the things that she gets introduced to is an alpha and a prime version of the same person meeting each other for the first time, and they just go at each other. They want to erase the other version of themselves. We don't see how that all, but they pull them apart, I guess.
As a side note, I was not particularly impressed with the staging of it.
Okay, in what way? Just because we didn't see it? Or?
No, we did see. Well, we didn't actually see the fight part of it, but we did see, one guy standing in front of another guy, like, "Hey, what's going on here?" And it just looked, it looked like it was staged, and it looked like I wasn't convinced that it looked like it was actually from that era. It just didn't look that great to me.
Okay,
that's all.
That's all.
That's an aesthetic. Judgment.
So be it. So be it. Yeah, they were trying to make it look old, and you think maybe in that attempt they kind of missed the mark a little bit. Okay.
That's what I think.
But it demonstrates this notion, and I guess I go along with it. That I don't know. You see, if you don't feel unique, that you want to attack that thing that's. I mean, we don't see that every time. We don't see, like, for instance, when J.K. Simmons meets himself, he doesn't attack himself.
That's actually one of the things I felt like was too on the nose. It's like, what? You look like me. I must immediately beat you up. It's like, okay, all right.
Because we've seen a few different people meet their others.
Yeah,
and they haven't done that.
No,
yet.
They haven't. It's like they said, can we take somebody who has some mental problems and show him the guy he has to see?
Yeah, I guess it's not a done deal. It's not a. Of course, if you met yourself, you just beat the living hell out of yourself. But I think that's the notion they're trying to drive.
Certainly in the first season they were saying, "Oh, it's a big deal when you meet your other." It said many times. So that's what the series.
It's
but
kind of
I felt like
you wonder
that makes it a little too on the nose. Like if they'd did a cut maybe. So after a couple of hours and or whatever, but just immediately, I must beat you up. Just made it a little too.
I think if I were to introduce that situation, I would probably think, oh my God, I have a twin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't think, and I must kill you.
Yeah, Oh, maybe my mother was more of a slut than I thought. Or
somebody switched with me at the hospital.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know. All right. So.
Not my actual mother. My theoretical mother.
So this FBI agent Temple is taken in. She does her little hey, everybody, get to know each other, and please tell on everyone in the office. She seems kinder, gentler. She has this very superficial hey, just here to help. But I have a feeling we're going to see the other side of her in the not too distant future. Somewhere in this season, once she gets proof that someone is indeed a spy, I think her hard edge is gonna come.
Oh.
That because she couldn't exist in her job if she was just hey, whatever, cool, here's some cookies.
Oh,
I don't know, whatever.
Of course not.
I feel like she's
right.
She's got the nice, easy path until that strategy is no longer useful, and then she's going to turn.
You've seen scenes from the season, right?
Well, I've seen her running around
with a gun.
Sure.
Yeah.
But not
So that's not nice.
Not going hey, J.K. Simmons, tell me what you know, everything you know.
Oh, I hope she doesn't do that.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. I just feel like there might be a scene. Wait, just saying. We'll see what happens there.
We'll see what happens.
Meanwhile, we also see immediately they're we're going to kill some folks. Yes. So let's do that. So if you remember from season 1, Aldrich was kind of a jack of all trades, the wet works guy for the office, and he gets bumped off. Baldwin, an assassin who we didn't see in this episode. There are a few people we didn't see in this episode, one of them being Alpha Howard.
Yes, right.
But Baldwin, who's out there somewhere in the alpha world, even though she is a prime, she killed Aldrich at the end of season 1. Aldrich was protecting the location and identity of these a prime and an alpha that didn't fight.
Correct.
They got along just fine. In fact, had the same husband, I believe.
Yeah. One of the implications of that, I feel, and some of the scenes from the trailer, is like you could go one way or the other. You could either want to kill your other or want to have a little fun with your other.
So these, I forgot her name now. But anyway, the alpha and prime version of this woman,
yes,
who were being held at this kind of remote house out in the woods, surrounded by guards, well, didn't work out.
No.
And so we see Claire, who is I was just talking about. She's kind of at this point the face of Project Indigo, the project that the terrorist plot.
Yes.
She's out in the woods with these two people. She's got two guys with masks on, and they bump off. They bump off the prime and the alpha woman.
Alice.
And then Alice. And then very good.
Alice Alpha.
Yep. Alice and her prime are killed off in the woods.
Yes.
And then Claire bumps off the two guys that did the killing.
Yes.
And then leaves them all.
Leaves them all. That's all you need to do.
Looks around. We're good.
Yeah.
All right. So we see that Claire is still very much involved. It's not like, oh, my terrorist plot ended and now I have to just go into hiding and look after my kid. She's like, no. I'm still running things.
Yes.
You look after the kid for a couple hours. I got to go away and do something. Hey, I'm back. So, yeah, she's still being spy person.
Yep.
We also see this guy, Lambert, who in the first season was kind of he was like he's where all the messages would come through from the other side, and then he would disperse them.
Yes.
He's kind of the spy master in a way. Not spy master is the wrong word, but message service.
He's certainly a high rank kind of person, since he was actually placed as a part of the government on the Alpha side,
and he knows
as a
lot.
liaison.
Yeah.
So. And
Claire tips him off that they're coming for him. And so he escapes in time, so you've got this. Of course, the bulk of this episode, I think, more or less, is taken up with two relationships.
Yes,
we see Peter Quayle, the luckiest man in show business, the luckiest man in fictional television, because I've always been good about picking out people to get bumped when they get bumped off. For instance, Ray Nadeem from Daredevil. I was like, that dude's going. Yeah. Peter Quayle was one of the guys that I picked early in season 1 to be like, all right, that guy is not surviving the season. He survived the season.
Yeah.
He's probably not. Hell, he might survive this season for all I know.
He might. You don't know.
But he's very lucky.
Be an interesting choice if it was like last one standing in the whole series.
Yeah, it's Peter Quayle.
Okay, well.
His luck holds out. He even says in this episode, "I'm just so lucky."
Yep.
He's incompetent and yet incredibly lucky. Great scene at the end there. I mean, to play into that black comedy of this guy who just can't seem to lose. Even the bit where he's got the money, he has to create a fake account and then spend the money from the account to show that, oh look, I've been paying spy people. And so he goes to the casino and just decides, I'll just put it all on this one number on the roulette table and then I'll just leave and that's it. And it wins. Yeah. And so now he's got double his money. He's like, God,
it's nice the way he sort of like says, okay, now wait, what?
Oh,
I won.
And then they're great. And then you see him walking down the street. There's a street person hanging out, and he starts trying to count some out, and he's like, screw it. And he just gives him all the money. He gets rid of it. But anyway, so he's incredibly lucky. Except he's also got this horrible home life because he knows that Claire basically killed his true love back in the day and took her place.
Yep.
And they had a kid together.
Yes.
And so the kid is really the reason, more or less. I mean, there's also self-interest involved, but the kid is what's kind of keeping them from killing each other.
Yes.
I think.
Well, to an extent.
Right.
I mean,
there's also both of them realize their cover can get blown very quickly.
Right, but I mean, they also, at least he does anyway, locks himself in at night.
Yeah.
So
that was interesting. So they've got this arrangement where each night the other one gets to take the kid.
Yeah. And
so you see him like, oh, it's my night. Great. And he takes the kid And he goes into his room, and there's multiple bolt locks that he uses.
And it's like a steel door.
So I'm thinking to myself, okay, you were just in the kitchen standing right next to this woman who could easily kill you. Well, so is it that, or is it more that he's afraid that people are going to break in and try to shoot him up or something?
Oh, I don't know. I guess I thought that, like, you know, now that he's asleep, you know.
Yeah, my initial thought was he's scared of her, but they're together so often in the house.
It could be like a safe room.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, just like, you know what, I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to suspect that you might come in and try to bump me off in my sleep. And so, yeah.
But I mean, a safe room for if ever they get attacked. I mean.
And there's a point at which he's asking her, like, look, are you in contact with any of these people from the Prime world, even now that the crossing is closed? The answer is obviously yes. She says nope.
Yeah,
and
no.
then,
with, you know, it's like, I guess maybe she could say that she passed the information on to someone who could get it to Lambert, but, you know, she's seen Lambert.
But she tries to then seduce him.
Yes.
You know, she does hey, if I get you interested in sex, maybe you'll forget about asking me this question. And he, like, you know, no, that did work on me once in the past, many times in the past. That's not working on me now. You can't do that. And he rebuffs her attempts.
He does.
And so they have an uneasy truce at this point, but they're making it work.
Yeah.
And they have a lunch with her family, her parents.
Yes.
Who are not her parents. She killed off their kid.
Yes.
So if they knew that, that would be bad.
Yes.
But they're like, happy family doing it. Oh, yes, well, great. They were talking about buying him a bigger place or something, I think, at some point. So, yeah, you just, and in fact, Peter says at some point, this is not going to end well.
Right.
And I think that is a prescient comment.
Yes.
You know, this is this house of cards. It's just sitting here waiting.
Yeah, well, he doesn't even know what her final plan is, if it is the final plan, or is it, you know, oh, well, I did that next plan and I'm still around. I wonder what the following plan is.
We are told that Lambert wants her. She has now been put in charge of a second sleeper cell.
Yes.
To carry out another mission. She said in season 1, this is just the beginning.
Yes.
So there's more to come plan-wise, which there's, right. I mean, obviously the story is going to push up the stakes of the war between these two sides.
Right. And the fact that bringing in what the showrunner said previously.
There can be only one.
No, about Claire. About Emily.
Okay.
So Claire visits Emily.
She does, which, that was a bold move, I thought.
Yeah.
Howard Prime.
And I think that partly because there's a question about, you know, what she knows.
Right. And so I think Claire wanted to get to her first.
Yeah.
To try to figure out what.
Well, I think it's been a while.
That's true. Good. Well, yeah, but she's still. I think she's starting to make breakthroughs in her memory.
Right.
So now would be the time to kind of go. Do I need to bump you off? Do I need to kill you at this point? Is this? And so Howard Prime comes home to find.
But it probably has the other aspect of it, perhaps too. But I mean, it's interesting that she does that when you would have to assume that Howard would perceive that as a threat.
Agreed.
You know, she thought it was important to meet him, and it was, you know, it's certainly an interesting aspect of. Oh yeah, I guess they haven't met.
That's right. She does say, "Oh, nice to meet you."
Yeah.
Because she's met the other. Has she? Has she met? I feel like she's met Howard Alpha, but yeah, she had to have. At some point, they had a party or something, or she probably met Howard Alpha at some point.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know for a fact, but I feel like they did. But she would never have had the opportunity to meet Howard Prime until now. So maybe that meeting was just a chance to meet Howard Prime. But
perhaps,
you know, wait for him to come home and then go, I gotta go.
I think she also wants. I think they're trying to make it important what she knows about this plan or whatever. So I think it was also to establish that she might want to talk to her for another reason. But yeah, also too to sort of. I mean, she kind of makes an attempt to say, "Hey, you should join our side," you know, and he's like, "Forget it."
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like, hey, you're a Prime. You're in danger here. You know, we can help each other out. He does the scoff laugh.
Yeah.
He doesn't say no. He's like, So that's the other dysfunctional family situation happening.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Claire and Peter trying to figure out how they're going to do this thing, and then you've got Howard Prime and Emily Alpha together, and they're trying to deal with life. So Emily is just starting to get back her memory. She's still got an aphasia. She can't say certain words. She calls Howard her wife at one point. And she doesn't recognize the house, the apartment. I mean, like, nothing is clicking in with her, really. And very few things are.
Yeah,
she picks up a painting and she's like, who would pick this painting?
Yeah.
Now, in my mind, I'm like, maybe Howard picked it and you just insulted him. But anyway, no. She seemed to know that
I was
she
like,
was the one.
Was it, Prime Emily?
Yeah. So that's the thing. So if you, I went back and watched our end of season 1 recap.
We were so wrong.
One of the theories that we had that I think is still in play is that perhaps what we think of as Emily Alpha, the one who was in the coma, could in fact be Emily Prime.
Right.
That at some point they switched places.
Yeah.
Maybe after, I don't know, I'm just guessing. Maybe after Emily Alpha lost the kid and she was in a depression, and maybe there was some, I don't know, maybe there was some moment in time where they decided to switch. They're both spy masters. Maybe they're both like, we'll get into it.
I think it would have to be after she had the kid, because Emily we think of as Emily Prime has been saying a number of times to Howard Prime, where it's like, you discovered something about me.
Yeah.
And so we know it's not, I don't think it's the same thing that Howard Alpha knows about Emily, which is that she's been unfaithful, and since Howard Prime is a part of strategy, it's not that, you know all about this crazy world and I don't know. Right. So it's not that either. Or maybe when he went over to that, but I'd be shocked if it was that. I feel like it's something else that they're preparing us for. And
they did say that since this is an Emily focused season,
yes,
and that they had an idea for a 2-season arc, and they sat what's her name, Olivia Williams, whatever the actress's name is, they sat her down and they convinced her to do the part because they're like, here's this arc and it's really cool, and season 2 is different. So I feel like,
that's so soon, like, you're in a coma for a long time.
You're in a coma, you just sit in a bed. You get to sit in a bed basically forever.
Easy.
So easy money. So let's assume for a second that somehow that is true, that the two switched at some point. That would make it even weirder for what is essentially Emily Prime, who was pretending to be Emily Alpha.
Yes.
Got hit by a car, went into a coma, is now awake, has amnesia.
Yeah.
She's in Emily Alpha's house.
Yes.
But she has a ton of Emily Prime memories pre-Alpha. So all this stuff where she's like, this doesn't seem right. Yeah. This doesn't seem like me.
Yeah.
Could be, because it's not. Like, she's got all kinds of thoughts that are just hitting on each other.
Right.
Anyway, so there you go. Potentially, we're up for we're going to find a switcheroo there, which will be really tough to talk about. Emily Alpha, who's Emily Prime, is Emily Alpha.
Yes.
Shit.
Yes.
But
that's
anyway,
true.
So anyway, we don't know that's true yet, but that's potentially happening. In the meantime, she's very confused. And what's kind of cool, too, is that she, much like, this show is like, don't trust anyone.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out one of the side effects of her amnesia is that she doesn't trust anyone.
Yes.
So she almost plays right into
that's true.
the notion of the show, which is, you're lying to me, or she even says, like, I don't trust Howard.
Right. Yes, she does.
And then she feels bad about saying it, but she said it.
Yeah, and after he, as Howard Prime, although he's pretending to be, for her sake, Howard Alpha.
Right.
But partly because
doing a good job of it, by the way.
It doesn't appear that Emily remembers that there's an Alpha and Prime worlds.
Good point.
Yeah. So he hasn't even spoken to her about that yet. And presumably, it actually could be a point where he could try to connect, because she's the one who was sending him letters saying, hey, look out for Howard Alpha and all this. So they have a relationship, although in his mind, obviously he knows he doesn't know. Well, then, see,
who knows what that little mystery on that is?
Yeah, see, and that actually is an argument against what I was saying. Yeah, because if that's what Howard Prime discovered about the Prime Emily, then he would know which one is which. But if it happened early enough, maybe it's just like, oh no, that's his wife that we switched, and now I know that you really wanted to be with Howard and you love Howard more, or whatever, who knows.
Well, I did find this interesting in that when he says, he does the little like, hey, remember when we first met at the Chinese restaurant? It was bad, I was trying to impress you.
Yes.
He's doing a really good job at seeming to be Howard Alpha. But he says, like, and she's like, well, I don't remember any of that stuff. He's like, well, then forget it. Forget that person you were. Yeah. Forget the other me.
Yeah.
Let's just start over.
Yeah.
Now that's, I mean, there's problems ahead, right? At some point, assuming Howard Alpha, who is right now in a prison camp, assuming he ever comes back, if you've set up this, now you have a really strong relationship, you know, switching that around, this can't end well either.
In theory, what should happen is eventually she gets all her memories back, and then can be like, wait a minute, okay, now that you're okay, let's discuss this whole world thing, and I'm actually, the other Howard Prime. That's how it should work.
But if in the meantime she gets feelings for him because she's like, oh yeah, we're married, we're supposed to be married, and then she's like, oh, but you're the wrong one. Are you? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I feel like...
I guess. I mean, I feel like a lot of that's predicated on her not understanding what the situation is. Once she learns that, okay, the world's cut off and you can't get the Howard that is yours back, and I'm just trying to, help you get back to normal. I mean... I'm
just saying there's some awkward conversations.
But the new problem should be, what's our situation now,
I think they're heading for a point where the two of them are going to have a relationship, and then it's going to be really hard for Alpha Howard to kind of come back.
It might. I mean, how many episodes do you think it's going to be before she remembers?
Yeah, man, good point. I don't think it'll be later than half the season. Okay. I think the first half of the season she'll be like, and then
I think you're right, because in some ways, I mean, I think they've done a good job of creating this situation. I mean, she was in a coma for a long time. And I think it sounds like from the interviews that they really try to talk to doctors about, because I feel like this is not the type of amnesia that we'd seen before, but it might be more medically,
accurate.
Yeah.
I think that's true. I mean,
in some ways, you could look at it as like, oh, here's another way we can keep the truth from happening, because that's what you often have.
You have to have this obstacle, right?
Yeah,
we could have solved this problem, but we can't.
Exactly. Yeah.
Amnesia.
Right. So it's like the situation when he finally, I remember now, and here's this message about how to foil and it's happening today. The second attack.
Speaking of messages, so one of the big events of this episode is that Peter confesses into a tape. Or I don't know what it is, if it's tape technology.
Yeah, it's like a dictaphone or something.
Because the technology's weird in this world, right?
Yeah, that was another interesting thing about it. I feel is that one thing we noticed in the first season was in the Alpha world, they're working on ancient computers. Mm-hmm. But he said you get used to that too, to suggest perhaps in people's homes they have real computers. And at work they have to work on these ancient computers.
Because they're more secure somehow.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So he confesses into a tape, and then he puts it into a safe, and he calls it his insurance policy. So he has now confessed, and he's also implicated Claire on tape.
Yes.
And at some point, someone's going to get a hold of that.
Yeah.
But he's still, on the surface, hiding his thoughts.
Another reason why they might actually, in the embassy where everything happens, and the portal point is where it's like they try to keep modern technology away from people from the other side.
Good point.
So anytime, here we are walking around
they
the
don't want to show them the cell phones and stuff.
Yeah, and the modern computers and stuff, because it's like, I want to poison all of you.
That's a good point.
Look at this great world. No, look at us.
And then maybe it's also in order to communicate with the other side. That's all they've got.
Yeah.
And so if you're communicating with this cool, awesome state of the art, you're like, oh, you're so slow.
Yeah.
That's good.
Why don't you get a better computer?
Yeah. Oh, did you have your world die? Okay, so that's generally speaking the stuff that happened with. So I'm going to cut to the ending.
Yeah, sure.
Because it was kind of interesting, and this is kind of Easter eggy. But so at the very end, we see the FBI agent is talking again to management, right? So management, I guess we haven't even mentioned management yet.
No,
but management is mysterious, right? It's a box you can put up on a little tripod, and there's a interpreter guy who like listens to. He says you should do this. Anyway, so you're like, what? Why? What? So they're very mysterious, trying to be obviously secretive so that nobody knows who management is. Nobody knows who management is. Okay. They have it on both sides. We've seen in a previous, in season 1, we saw management, a similar version of management talking to a bunch of folks on the Prime side.
Yes.
We even guessed that maybe management's the same, and it's one management talking to both sides. Now that I've seen what I saw tonight, last night, I'm starting to doubt that.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's assume there are 2 different managements. What we see then.
But your idea that perhaps they're management of the same people, Alpha and Prime. That's interesting.
Okay, so what we get is management says like to Agent Temple, you will of course alert us when you learn anything. And she's like, sure. I mean, yes.
Yeah.
So then the conversation breaks off, but management stays on the line.
Yes.
And so now we see them talking to each other, and there's like code going back and forth, but we hear voices. And the code lines have names attached to them. They're code names. There are 4 of them.
Ooh.
There's Avalon, who, as it turns out, is the guy who we see.
Right.
So at the very end, we see an old man, an old white guy, putting like all these secretive little onto the communication device and then hiding it. And so he's very secretive. That's Avalon. There are 3 other code names given. There's Mixine, Veza, and Kleiberg. Those are the 4 folks. And they're talking. The conversation they have is, we all know who's behind this, this being the terrorist event. It's Mira. Mira was the person who ran the school that indoctrinated Claire and started Project Indigo.
Yes.
When they did in season 1, they attacked the school and found like all the kids had committed suicide. It was a really kind of disturbing bit. But
that attack though was because of Emily, Prime Emily, who discovered it though. So it still, I think, left us a question about who's really making this plan.
Good point. Also, this is only a segue just for a second, but if you remember, the guy who seemed to be in charge in season 1 was this guy, Alexander Pope.
Yes.
And Pope is dead.
Yes.
Howard Alpha killed him.
Very foolishly got killed.
Yeah, very foolishly got killed. But
you're nothing like him.
I'll keep my back to you while I pull this gun out and, you hit me. I was about, okay. So, but he's dead. So, really, there is. I mean, as I said, the kind of the obvious face of the organization is Claire at this point, but Mira did escape.
Yes.
And so we get the idea that Mira's still around.
Yes.
And that's what the management is talking about. They're like, we know who's behind this. It's Mira. You know, like, she's dead. Was it ever proven? Which means she's not dead.
No.
And then they say, let's reach out. And they're like, agreed, concur. And then they get off the line. Okay, so here's my theory on that. I think management, these 4 people on the Alpha side, perhaps have 4 of their primes are on the other side, and those 4 people on each side were the ones that created the crossing, somehow working in the exact same time on each side, independent of each other. They're like, what if we did this and we did the thing, and it's like, twang, and they created this crossing. And so then they suddenly were like, oh shit, we got to create rules to protect this thing. And then they ultimately for secrecy reasons, became management. That's my thought. One thing real quick on their code names. Avalon could be a reference to the Isle of Avalon, where it was a mystical place that you had to travel to, right? And it had it operates under a different set of rules. And so it does feel like maybe that's a terminology for going somewhere else, to that other world. Vesa is, as it turns out, a Sulu word, which means causing one to cross over. So, again, seems somewhat applicable. The other two I didn't get a whole lot out of. Kleiberg is, it's a name for it's the tallest mountain in a particular range in the Czech Republic. It's notable because there's an observation tower there that kind of look out over all the valleys. So maybe it
I wonder if
watching.
at some point they imagined Shangri-La was there. Who knows? I'm just spouting crazy theories.
Mixine it's like the scientific name for a hagfish, but I don't know what that has to do with anything. Anyway, so they don't understand everything just yet, but I feel like we are getting introduced to the management for a reason, and I feel like maybe at some point we're going to learn a little bit more about the creation of the crossing. I think that's going to happen later on in season 2.
Sure.
So that's cool. I want to know that. Let me know. Okay. Anyway, so
you clack back the.
So yeah. Anyway, we've there were other things in this episode. We're running a little long on time, so we'll call it there. If you've got some cool thoughts about the episode or theories, it's a good theory crafting show. Craft your theories in the comments, and I'll be happy to reply. So thanks a lot, everybody. We'll be back for episode 2. In the meantime, we're going to be back for Night Flyers episodes 3 and 4.
Yes.
Maybe Star Trek Discovery short treks. It's supposed to come out any day now. And I've got a silly little Star Wars haha thing that I did with producer Steve that I'll send out. But otherwise, subscribe, do the likey thing, and make some comments. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.